Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
We salute you, goal machine Matty Pearson. It's the warm-up episode 107. It's Brady and Tom. We're previewing the Watford game and we're joined by BBC sports journalist Georgia Cook. Tom, I'll come to you first. What a 4-2-us win. Get it?
How long did it take you to come up with that one?
Longer than I want to admit. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant result. I mean, it's got everyone on a high, hasn't it? It's got everyone believing again. We seem to be the team down there that, are proper up for it. So really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit. But Georgia, welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Good to have you on. Good to have a proper journalist. We've got 2 weeks in a row now, haven't we, Tom? We're going to have to start again.
Hitting the jackpot, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Georgia, before we get into the kind of Watford preview, because there's a lot to talk about, but obviously you're the Huddersfield Town ambassador for Her Game 2. So if you're all right, I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about Her Game 2 and what your role is and what you do.
Yeah, so Her Game 2 wants to support women who might be afraid to put their opinions online, even though they are valid, in stands as well, if they feel that, they might be judged, just for giving their opinion. So we want to create a safe space where women feel that they are equal to give their opinion, whether it be online or in the stands. As a young woman myself, I started going to Huddersfield away games by myself at around 14 and 15, travelling all over, and I was sat with older men on the coach that were like, "Oh, why are you here?" And I thought, "Why are you questioning? Should I question you why you're on the coach?" I just wouldn't. And that was kind of the barrier that we want to break. We want women to feel like that they belong at football and that their opinions are, like I said, are valid, and that there's a safe space to give them online where they're not going to be, filled with hatred just because of their gender.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if obviously you mentioned things that unfortunately happen quite a lot at games, not just Huddersfield Town games, but with you being an ambassador, if anyone. Can people get in touch with yourself? If it's anything to do with the club, any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on any social media platform really. And Huddersfield have put out where to kind of get in touch. So there's my Twitter, which obviously you'll probably tag. And just, I'm quite, I've got bright blonde hair, and I'm always around. Especially in the South Stand, so that people can come up to me. I'm very approachable, I don't bite unless we're losing. Don't approach me then. But I'm only messing. But if there's any worries, I had a young girl come up to me and she was by herself. And she said, "Oh, do you mind if I stand with you?" I was like, "Of course not." And I would rather her come up to me than stand there and feel uncomfortable for 90 minutes. Being by herself, because I've been in that position and it's not nice. I remember going down to Tottenham with the new stadium opened and I was by myself, and it's not a great feeling because you're by yourself, everyone's with their mates having a drink and going out for food, and you've gone all that way and you're like, oh right, well there's no one to kind of talk to. So it's definitely I'm here if anyone wants to speak, male or female. Obviously we're here predominantly for female fans, but if there's any men that feeling lonely and want to chat, I'm here for them as well.
Great stuff. Lovely. Wonderful to hear. Some other stuff that's wonderful to hear, guys, is we're going to get into this preview. And I tell you what, Watford are in a bit of a tricky spot at the moment. So they're 11th in the table heading into this one. They are only 6 points off the playoff places. However, they did lose last time out to Luton in a Derby Day defeat, where Watford boss Chris Wilder said he believes a cultural reset may be needed to put the club back on the right path towards the Premier League. They don't need too much of a reset at Vicarage Road, though. Looking into it, they've lost just once in the last 10 home games, which was a 2-0 defeat to Millwall on Boxing Day. But they have drawn at home to Hull, Rotherham, and most recently Wigan. Plus, a little bit further encouragement, Watford have won just once in the last 6. So, Tom, if Town can put 4 past Middlesbrough, you'd be hoping they can go and get a result against Watford, wouldn't you?
You would. It's not a happy place at the moment, Watford. I know I've got a couple of mates who follow them. They're not really enjoying it. The mate who I was potentially going to meet for the game on Friday sounds like he'd rather just stay in London and have a few drinks than go up and watch it. So they're in that kind of zone. Yeah, I mean, Town are on a proper high at the moment, and I'm just thinking back to I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, Brady, and we were thinking, blooming heck, when are we going to get a win? Are we going to see Town win again this season, basically? And now I'm looking at these fixtures in a completely different light after Middlesbrough and thinking, why not? Warnock's figured it out, hasn't he? It feels like, which is buzzing.
Yeah, look at you. The smirk's back, the smile. It's amazing what the Warnock magic can do. Not to be Debbie Downer, but Georgia, Huddersfield do have a rotten away record. Can't speak today. Winning just 3 games away from home all season. But do you see that bad run kind of continuing, or do you think the recent form that Tom's talked about could give us, a bit of encouragement?
I think the last couple of away games, especially West Brom, we were really unlucky to not get anything out of that. The silly penalty that I don't know what Matty Pearson were thinking, and like Warnock said, he kind of redeemed himself against Middlesbrough. But I thought we were quite unlucky. I think we played really well at West Brom. It certainly shocked me, just a 1-0 scoreline. Millwall, I know that Millwall were predominantly on the ball a lot more, but at the end of the day, it's who comes away with the 3 points that really matters. But I think we've got a real confidence in the team at the minute. There's a few questionable people missing. I was really disappointed that Kamara and Diarra both weren't in the squad on Saturday. I think when you've got a fast-paced team like Middlesbrough, why are they not playing? Hungbo as well, especially after the Bristol game for me. I saw he wasn't putting in any effort, and it was right to take him off at half-time. But how long do you punish him for? He's a skillful player. He's fast. He's what we need, along with Kamara and Diarra. It's okay starting Danny Ward and Wagon, but they are older. We need some fresh, not fresh legs, but young legs in the midfield. It's all right having Johnny Hogg, but you need these to kind of push on, create fast runs, and especially Hungbo on the wing. He's very, very quick. And I was really disappointed not to see them at Middlesbrough. Obviously, it was great to get the win, but looking at a starting 11, that is what you want. You want to think, right, we're going to go there. We've brought our quickest players against a very quick side. But when I saw the lineup, I was a bit like, oh, here we go. I was not encouraged at all. And the goal scorers, you wouldn't. If you'd have said to me Josh Ruffles to score in that game, I'd have laughed. Never mind Pearson and Koroma, but like I said, the away record isn't great, but I just think the confidence that we've got at the minute, beating 2 teams in the top half of the table, it's really not bad at all.
No, and it's good to hear, Georgia, that you want more even after a 4-2 win. You still wanting
no,
more.
No, you know what? When everyone was like 1-0 up and whatever, I was like, stop. I was like, because we've still got like half an hour. Like we could easily lose 5-4. It's so unpredictable. This is Huddersfield. Like, we could end this 4-4. We could lose 5-4. And then when it it looked like it had gone over the line, I thought, here we go. Here we go. It was just, I'm walking up and down the row like I'm the manager. I was like, I need to lie down.
It'll be really interesting to see. I think that's an interesting point, Georgia, in the sense of like the teams he's been putting out, the squads he's been putting out when we've played. I mean, when you look at us last 5 games, right? We've been playing teams up there chasing the playoffs. And each squad, it's been quite defensive. You haven't been getting that pace on, like you said. Be interested to see when we come up against, I don't know, probably like Swansea, Sunderland, Cardiff. Will he take a bit more of a front foot view when he kicking off with a game? I'm just looking back at these results. What we have done, those last 5 games, brilliant, absolutely brilliant performances, really.
The Warnock effect, we love
Yeah.
it. To be fair, I have made a bet with my friends that if we stayed up, I will get Warnock tattooed on me. So at the time when we agreed, it wasn't looking great, and then all of a sudden it was like, are you getting yourself booked in? And I was like, no, who made that?
Wow. And you've just admitted that on a podcast. So,
Yeah.
Even worse.
Are we talking Warnock's face or just his name? What would you go for?
I mean, I think regardless, even if we go down, I might have to get it done. I just love him. But I don't know, I might have to flip a coin for his name or his face. But, I'd be happy with either.
Well, we can do a Twitter poll for you on our channel if you want, Georgia. Sure, that won't go wrong at all.
You've got to get someone good at doing portraits, haven't you? Because
I'd imagine if it was like, oh God, I'd probably end up looking more like Harry Redknapp than Neil Warnock. Feel it happening.
Yeah, that's it. Just Warnock somewhere, so it'd be quite nice. My mate got Heffley with the cup tattooed on his, I think it was his thigh or his calf.
No, because I mean, I've said this to Brady before, but I was majorly obsessed with Michael Heffley. I've got a cardboard cut out in there. And now that he's engaged, it's going to the skip. I'm really mad. I cried when I saw the post. I was like some jealous ex. I was raging.
Well, he's only engaged. He's not actually married yet, so there's no.
I'm like, stop the wedding!
Oh dear. Well, I was not expecting that to go. There we go. I'd personally love to see a Warnock tattoo. So I hope as much as I want us to stay up,
I have actually got your podcast tattooed. It says, "And he takes that chance."
Amazing.
What?
And it's the date underneath.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely for Shinley's penalty. It's not because of the podcast. Just want to clarify.
Well, it's the same name as the podcast. It's a decade.
So then on the other arm, you're gonna have to have one of Warnock's funniest quotes from the season.
I can't on this one. We're gonna have to work our way up.
Yeah.
Different Warnock quotes.
Oh, there's plenty. So we'll help you narrow down when we take a break. But Tom, we have a view from the other side. That we were chatting to a Watford fan, and here it is. Cool, and I'm joined now by David Walker from the Watford podcast, From The Rookery End. David, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good. You are about the 200th person to do the From the Rookery End podcasting. We didn't think about that before we named it. It's very actually doesn't work at all.
Well, we're called Andy Takes That Chance. So imagine trying to explain that to everyone. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I didn't pick the name, so I'll blame everyone else for that. But no, cheers for joining us. Obviously, Watford, bit of an interesting season. I know everyone makes jokes about all the managers and stuff, but is this? It's 3 managers this season already. Is that a surprise for yourselves? I've seen there's a lot of unrest online with the kind of Watford fans about the ownership. Just kind of tell us how the season's gone, really.
Well, sadly it's not a surprise at all, because we've become so used to the situation in recent seasons. We had four last season in the Premier League. 2 the season before that, and it goes on and on and on. It's just, it is just what we've come to expect. And it all speaks to really the fact that the owner, Gino Pozzo, really has lost control of the situation and just is constantly trying to do the thing that will save us or get us into the Premier League or save us from relegation. He's constantly rolling the dice. And there's only so many times you can do that, really. It was working for a bit. When we got promoted first time in 2015, we had 4 managers that season and it worked. And then we changed our manager every year when we were in the Premier League and it was like all ticking over nicely. but it's since 2019, really, after we got to the FA Cup final, it's all sort of just really run off course, and we just can't get back on course. But this season in particular, I mean, it fairly ridiculous situation, to be honest, because we hired Rob Edwards, who was the Forest Green manager, who'd taken Forest Green up from League Two last year. We hired him at the end of last season to much fanfare. Our chairman, Scott Duxbury, said in black and white, we will back Rob Edwards come hell or high water. And we sacked him after 10 games. So that gives you an idea of how harmonious things may or may not be behind the scenes at Vicarage Road in the training ground. But then we got rid of him, replaced him with Slaven Bilic, who we thought was a sort of seasoned championship operator, had taken West Brom up not so long ago, been in the Premier League, kind of an interesting character, straight talker and all that. Sort of worked all right at the start. He had a bit of an impact. We beat Luton 4-0 early on in his reign and beat Stoke 4-0. And we were sort of went on a little run and we felt like we were getting there. But really the World Cup break kind of hampered us. We would sort of had a bit of form without setting the world alight. We had a bit of form before the World Cup. When we came back from the World Cup, it just seemed like we were a different team. Not that many of our players went away or anything, but it just really felt like we just couldn't beat teams. We were really struggling to string any sort of results together, and it just kind of had a few injuries, well, a lot of injuries. In fact, almost the whole team were injured at one point, which didn't help. But we just got stuck in the mud, and we just failed to beat teams. Rotherham, we failed to beat them twice this season, failed to beat Preston twice this season, lost to Blackpool. Lots of draws and just difficult results to the point where Bilic, his time was up. And then we went for Chris Wilder. And, the pattern with all of our managers is there isn't a pattern. That's the point. There's never a model that we follow. It's 1 minute it's Hodgson, then it's Edwards, then it's Bilic, and it's Wilder, Xisco Munoz, who got us up before, Quique Sanchez Flores. They're all completely different from one another. And Chris Wilder's had 4 games now. And the most recent one being a 2-0 defeat to our rivals, Luton, who sat comfortably in the playoffs under the charge of Rob Edwards, which sort of rubbed even more salt into the wounds. And we were just pitiful at the weekend. And it really does feel like our season is over, despite the fact that a lot of teams around us didn't pick up the points at the weekend, which means we're still 6 points out of the playoffs. We're just about in touch, but I mean, we've got 7 games left. We pretty much have to win all of them. But really, my discussions I've been having with my mates and fellow Watford fans over the last few days is whether we want to go to the game on Friday or not. That's kind of where we're at with it. It's a real low moment for us.
Yeah, I can certainly share that sentiment of not wanting to go to the games, because I think that's been a lot for Huddersfield this season. But you talked about some of the, and it's clear that there's a lot of frustration among the fan base. I know Chris Wilder talked about at the weekend about how the club needs a cultural reset. I'm assuming that's an opinion you share, because I'm not a Watford fan, but I know you guys can make the butt of jokes with the ownership and changing managers. But it does seem like the fan base, it worked before, like say, and it seems like maybe it does need that reset.
Yeah, I think it was a moment where all of us were like, finally, someone said it out loud. And it's someone at the club who's had the balls to step up and say what needs to be said. I think there's a healthy dose of self-preservation in those comments as well. I think he knows full well that he's unlikely to be at the club next season, and he wants to probably make it quite clear that, listen, I've done all I can here, but there's problems that are bigger than me. And he's right in that sense. And he's only had 4 games. What do you expect? To come in and not going to be able to come in and do miracles, especially with a group of unmotivated, underperforming players like we've got. But that is the feeling, and that has been the feeling that's growing among the fan base. Because there was time when it's a little bit more split. There were people that would be saying, "Oh, but look, we've had a cup final. We've been in the Premier League for 5 seasons. We've sorted out the stadium. We've had Gerard Deulofeu in our team, Capoue, Decore, all these great players." So there was kind of, cut Gino a bit of slack, but really this season, the tide has turned, and it feels like the majority of supporters now are like, you either need to really, really be introspective and change the way you operate, or we'd quite like you to find someone else to come and take over. And of course, we can say that till we're blue in the face, but it's his prerogative in terms of what he does with the club. So that's the issue. As you guys may well soon find out, you get an owner in it's up to them what they do. Could be good, could be bad, could be somewhere in the middle. But for us, it's increasingly frustrating. And it's very clear that the environment at the club is a difficult one to be in for the players, and I think, and the staff. And there's been some quite concerning reports coming out this season about just the atmosphere and the way the players are treated by the club in terms of bonus payments, and there's lots of agents and there's lots of figures that are involved, and we've got a director of football and a technical director, and no one really knows who's in charge, and Gino, the owner, kind of does what he wants and undermines the chairman. And it's all a bit of a mess, to be honest with you. And again, we're coming to that end of the season where we should be excited and think, can we get into the playoffs? And we should be in the playoffs really with the squad that we've got. But I really don't know what to expect for the last 7 games because Wilder's come out and said those things. Like, what's his relationship with the players now? Is it going to motivate them, or are they going to go like, well, you're off in a few weeks anyway, mate. So are most of us. So it's a tricky one for us.
Yeah, it certainly sounds it, and I'm going to come on to the game on Friday. How are you kind of feeling? Obviously you said you're not even sure if you're going to go, but in terms of whether you expect Watford to get a result, how are you feeling? Because as I heard on Cliches today, Jamie O'Hara saying we're on page 2 of the table, but we've obviously hit a bit of form, beat Middlesbrough out of nowhere. So is there any kind of fear from Watford fans heading into this one?
Well, the concern is that we're fast approaching page 2 in the Championship ourselves, to be honest, rather than getting up into the top 6. But the thing is, and this is football, right? I will go on Friday. I sort of don't want to, but I will. And that's the annoying thing about it. No matter how badly football treats us, we keep going back to it again and again and again. It's like an abusive relationship in some respects, to be honest with you. At some point between now and Friday, maybe 5 minutes before kickoff, I don't know, I'll have a little part of my brain that goes, oh, if we win this, well, maybe we could, we've got Coventry on Monday. Maybe we can beat them as well. We've got quite a good set of fixtures. We've got Luton were the last sort of top team towards the top of the table that we had left. All the teams we've got are beneath us now, I think, although that might change. A few of them are on our tail. But so we have still got 7 games. And I think Wilder made the point. He came out again on Monday after those comments. I think it was a little bit, probably someone at the club going, right, okay, you need to rein it in a little bit here. You still are the manager. You still are the head coach. And so there was a lot of talk from him about, right, our challenge now is to do what we can because it's still there for us. Somehow it is still there for us. If we were to win a couple of games, we'd be on the cusp of the playoffs again. But the problem is we can't even win 1 game, let alone the prospect of winning 6 out of 7 or 5 out of 7 and a few draws. It's not something we've been able to do all season, really. We've not had a run. We've been very inconsistent. Win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2, draw 3, lose 2. It's never been a run where you have like 3, 4, 5, 6 wins on the bounce, which is what you need, which can do a lot for you in this league, even quite late on. It's always so tight. You can zoom up as you are seeing now. You win a couple of games, and the picture changes really quickly. So in terms of the game on Friday, it's interesting. I'm a bit concerned about it because whilst I might try and kid myself into being hopeful, I look at you guys, you beat Millwall and Middlesbrough in the last few weeks, right? And you're fighting for your lives and stuff and all that. And you think, I've seen us lose to a lot of teams sort of down the bottom of the table this season. And it really wouldn't surprise me if you get at least a point on Friday.
That's interesting. And when we've spoken to other fans heading in, teams at the top of the table, they're always kind of wary of the Warnock effect. And obviously we've kind of seen that kick in. He's left it late, but it does seem to be kicking in a little bit. Are you wary of Neil Warnock? Because as we've seen recently, he just loves the Championship, doesn't he? You never write him off.
So I mean, have you seen a tangible Warnock effect? Are you playing like a Warnock team you'd expect them to play like?
Well, I think it's tricky because I think Warnock gets criticised for playing like classic hoof-it football, but some of our goals have been okay. I mean, to be honest, it's all kind of kicked in since the Norwich game. We got a draw at home. We were terrible, and then it was like, someone chipped the keeper and it hit the post and hit, their defender went in, and it's just, you can just see the confidence really. I think we'll be a bit like how we played against Millwall, where we'll just keep it really tight and then try and, score with a few chances we've had. Whereas against Borough, we were just we knew they concede a lot, like away from home. So we weirdly just every shot we had went in. It was one of them. So we have seen a bit of a jump.
We've struggled with that sort of team, to be honest with you. Recent game against Wigan, who were bottom of the league at the time, we ended up drawing 1-1, but sort of came away feeling like it was a defeat, really. Like they sat back and they were they had 2 players booked in the first half for time wasting. You know, they knew what they were coming to do, and it worked. And we've had plenty of other games against teams like that this season. We've actually done quite well against some of the bigger teams. We've got 4 points off Burnley this season. We beat Sheffield United. We were 4 points off West Brom. Like, we beat Norwich twice. Like, so the teams that kind of take us on a bit more, we've kind of been able to go head to head and sometimes do okay. But really, this season has been a story of failing to beat teams that on paper you think we should do. So I would give you hope from that perspective. And yeah, Warnock's been down to Vicarage Road countless times over the years, and we've all, you know, he's a pantomime sort of villain wherever he goes. We've had run-ins with him. Of course, you've got Chris Wilder on the touchline with him, 2 former Sheffield United managers who will know each other quite well. So I suppose that's an interesting aspect of it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose I'll come on to the final question, which everyone hates. But if you had to give a score prediction for this one, how do you see it going?
I reckon it will be. I think it'll be tight. I would love to say that we're going to win it 2-1 and we're going to sneak it, but I've got a feeling it'll be another 1-1 draw at home. We've had a lot of those this season. I think, I'm going to give you a point, 1-1, I think. That's
interesting. That's exactly what I've gone for, but we don't deserve it. But yeah, 1-1 draw. Well, that's great. No, David, thank you for your time. Just before you go, where can everyone find you? You
can find me on Twitter. It's at the rather clunky handle at @D_C_W. You can listen to From The Rookery End podcast, but you're Huddersfield fans, so don't bother doing that. But you can also find me on the Football Cliches podcast, where we talk about the language of football and how ridiculous it is, and do loads of other silly things as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I listen all the time, and came to the live show in Leeds, and even though there was the Leeds square ball beforehand, so that's how good it is.
Yeah, fair play.
I tell you what, we're going to take a break, and we're going to go on magicrockbrewing.com, enter the code AHTTC10, and we're going to get 10% off any online order that we do doing that. So not only can I do that, you can do that, listener. So get it used. Right, okay, let's take a break. Let's come back and let's do the mailbag. Okie doke, it's mailbag time. Let's do it.
You've got mail.
Freddie Cocker. Oh, who's Freddie? I don't know him. He asks, outside of the playing squad / management, what is the first priority you would want the US owners to tackle when they get their feet under the table? Sorting out stadium, HD1 redevelopment, Dizzy penalties 2.0. Good questions. Good questions, sir. Tom, I'll come to you first, put you on the spot. What do you want the new guys to do?
I mean, I think we might have touched on this last week with Sir Stephen. I think just giving the stadium basically a tidy up. There's a lot of bits falling off it, kind of thing. It just needs that. It needs to just have a little bit of a paint, a lick of paint. I mean, to go the extra mile and give it a bit of a revamp would be brilliant. Like some of the concourse stuff, sorting them out, the bits around the stadium. That'd be the big picture stuff for me, and make it a bit more of an experience going down there, because there's all that space in there. I don't know who owns what used to be the driving range, but there's so much space to be exploited down there and make it a bit more of an experience for the fans on match day. So I think that'd be my kind of first priority, other than obviously the footballing side of things, Brady.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Georgia, what about yourself? Any thoughts if it's not the squad and the management?
I would like to see more academy products, if I'm honest. I don't think enough money goes into the academy to help produce them. I know that a few of the academy lads live with me at the minute, and I'm constantly looking at the games and stuff like that. And I don't think that in recent years there's been as much academy products as what I maybe have liked. We've got Kyle Hudlin playing in the B team, who seems to be scoring a lot of goals. Why is he not on the bench? Why are we not giving him 10 minutes at the end of a game? I'd also like to see a bit more money in the women's team, not just from a Her Game 2 perspective, but because they play at Staffs Hall, which not many people know. And I'd like to see them a fixture at the John Smiths. I think that would benefit them massively. And like you said, just giving it a bit of a revamp. They were saying, I think it was £20 million in renovation, someone was saying the other day. So do they invest in doing that, or do they build a whole new stadium? And that's kind of, for me, I don't think we need to build a new stadium. I think it's in a good location. I think the base that we've got is really good. I just think it needs a whole new revamp, really, and maybe somewhere that is more like dedicated fan zone, like we had when we were in the Premier League, when they were face painting before a match and stuff like that. Because I feel like the family atmosphere is really, really missing from Huddersfield at the minute. We've got the gaming section and we've got the football section outside, but when we had like the balloons and the face paint and stuff like that, and it's just something so little that brings more people to the club, I think.
Yeah, no, really interesting. I think.
Sorry, that was long.
No, it's good. No, they're really good points. Yeah, I'm going to kind of touch on what you both said here, but I almost feel like I'd like the new owners to almost like, I wouldn't say like necessarily rebrand us, but I think, it kind of links to their strategy. I want to know. I almost feel like we do need a refresh, like Tom and Georgie, you've said, like, not with the stadium in general, but also like maybe where we are as a club, because I think, we talk about being a working class club. We talk about, we've had previous owners say we want to be a top 30 team in English football. It'd be good to kind of know with that. And I think, there's a few things for me, George, you touched on it, but I'd really like us to have like a one club approach. So like not just with, the men's team, but bring the women's team into that. I think we've talked a fair bit about that, but it'd be good to have them playing at the stadium where they can, a bit more training at Canal Side, etc. Same with the academy. I'd like it to be a bit more integrated. And yeah, I almost wonder, I think that's what'll be interesting when we do hear something a bit more concrete from Kevin Nagel and who else is going to be in this group. But I'd like us to look at that one club philosophy, because I know you're comparing completely different levels, but you look at Arsenal, for example. I feel like they're a really good example of how the men's team and the women's team integrate, and how the academy integrates, and how it all feels. I know they're winning a lot of games at the moment, but and that helps. But it all feels like a bit more connected. So that's what I would like them to tackle, really. Dizzy penalties as well. Don't take them away. I do like them, but maybe we can.
I love dizzy penalties. I love watching people fall. It's great. I love it.
There you go. Okay, so the next question, I'm going to put two in one here, because Richard Kosmala, who's in sunny Spain at the moment, and I'm not jealous at all. He says, talk to me about Tomáš Vaclík. Loved his time at Sevilla when he was one of La Liga's best keepers. Delighted to see him do well. And sports writer Zach says, if we stay up and all parties are interested, would you keep Vaclík for the next season? Tom, I'll come to you first. That's an interesting one if we stay up, because obviously we saw that Lee Nichols was back in training, and he may play before the end of the season. So, what do you think?
I was thinking of this this morning. Just he's turned it. Well, no, he hasn't turned it around. Look, he came to us basically injured, didn't he? Yeah. And he's got his fitness back, and he's looking like the goalkeeper that you heard about on the Sevilla run to Europa League and all that. And it's actually really exciting. He's got his call up for Czech Republic again, hasn't he? I mean, I would, if we stayed up and he wanted to hang around. Yeah, I think he's been looking great recently. And if he's one of those, it's a bit of a cliche, and if you can keep him fit, he's good. But then, yeah, Nichols might. But I think that's one thing Nichols has been burdened with the last few seasons, is everything has relied on him. We've not really had a backup goalkeeper who comes in with the experience, and whether that be Nichols or Vaclík, potentially next season would be quite interesting. I think either way, we've got to sign a bit more of an experienced goalkeeper in the squad next year.
I'm going to put you on the spot then, Tom. If, say, we stay up, who's your number one next season?
Leigh Nichols at the moment, but I don't. It's a difficult one. It's close. If Vaclík goes on now, there's still enough games for Vaclík to, I don't know, show that he isn't as fit as he can be, or he couldn't carry on. But say he got a couple of three clean sheets, he'd be putting his hat in the ring massively.
There you go. Georgia, what about you? Would you keep Vaclík next season if we did stay up and he wants to stay?
If we had chance of keeping Vaclík and Nichols, I think it would create some really healthy rivalry. I think they're two experienced goalkeepers, which is something that we've not had in the squad for a long time. Why did we sign Jordan Smith? This is something that really baffles me. It's not. I feel really sorry for him more than anything. I met him at the Her game when the Her game 2 fixture was happening, and he just seems so lost. And I just think the third choice goalkeeper is for somebody like Ryan Schofield or Nico, and that is no disrespect to either of them because they're both very good keepers. However, they are younger. But to have someone like Jordan Smith as a third choice goalkeeper, I personally will feel quite offended. But having Leigh Nichols say as number one, Vaclík as your second, and then Schofield or Nico as your third, that for me is the way it should be. Not having Jordan Smith as your third, but Leigh Nichols for me just brings that confidence that for a lot of fans, if you see Nichols start, you're like, oh. And when I saw Nico was starting, I was like, right. And sometimes when I see Vaclík, like recently, I've been like, right, at least he's in net. But if there was a chance for Nichols to be back, I'd be like, I'd want to see Nichols start, if that makes sense, just because he brings that kind of stability to the team, I think, because he's had longer to gel with them and he knows how everybody works. But if we could keep both of them for next season, I'd really like that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with either of you. I think Nichols for me, he was in the team this season last season. You hope, he's not had I suppose the other thing we need to talk about is if his injury is bad and how he gets on, back after that. Depending on how we're doing, it would be maybe good to give him a couple of games, but then do you throw him into a situation where he's not fully fit and, we're fighting for our lives? That'll be an interesting one to see.
I think that's what pre-season's for, giving him some time in pre-season to really, chuck himself in, and see how much he can kind of handle it. Obviously, we don't know when he's going to be back, but for me, even if he was back before the end of the season, I would keep Vaclík in just until the end, just because you don't want to rush anything, because if he's injured before pre-season, you're absolutely screwed then. In pre-season, you can kind of judge how it's going to go, depending on the kind of games that you're playing. And he can kind of test the water then. But if you're playing in a survival, you're fighting for survival at the end of the day, and you're going to be trying to block your body at every chance. And if you injure that, then you're injured for pre-season, then you're injured for the start of next season. If Vaclík goes, we're screwed, and we're back with either Schofield or Nico in there, and we just can't do that.
No, that's a really good point. I think, just to finish that, for me, Nichols is still number one, even though Vaclík has been a lot better. And like you say, Tom, it's because he's fit. It's no surprise, is it? But we will move on. So Jacob, he asks if we stay up. A lot of questions about if we stay up now. You can tell people are confident. If we stay up, do you think we keep Warnock, or what type of manager / playing style are you looking for? For me personally, I don't think you keep Warnock, because even if Warnock does keep us up, just because he's, I don't think he'll particularly want it, because he made it quite clear when he joined that he only likes running in February, and it's like a favour to Dean. I also think if you're going to have new owners and you want a long-term project, and I don't think Warnock is a long-term manager, as well as he's done, and as much as I'm enjoying him being back. And
who would you have in next season then if Warnock isn't to be here?
I can't really think of a name off the top of my head. I think In terms of because Graham Potter, yeah, he likes blue teams with blue and white stripes. To be fair, I think what I'd want is, I'm not necessarily against what we've done in the past, where we've given managers like Wagner, Corberan, a chance. I think it's, you look at someone like, obviously we played him at the weekend, but Michael Carrick, like a young, exciting manager. I feel like that is kind of the town thing we've seen recently. And hopefully they'd have a bit more backing and, not working on scraps with the new ownership. So that's kind of what I'd go for. To be honest, I think even if we stay up this season, and that would be fantastic. Let's say we're in the Championship next season. I really wouldn't mind a season where we're mid-table and there's a lot of drama.
Me neither.
That would be one of the best things.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I think. If the possibility's there, though, Brady, say he would say, right, I'll do one more season, you probably are guaranteed almost that kind of, you know what I mean? So I think if the option was there, I would take it for a season.
Cool. There you go. Okay, so Georgia, I'm against your Tom's 4. What about you?
You see, I met Neil in September last year. He came into work to do a podcast, and I said to him, "Oh, would you ever come back as Huddersfield manager?" And he went, "No, time's past it. No, I'm not coming back." I said, "That's a shame," and that was about September. He said, "I'm on tour till February anyway." He said, "So nothing will be happening till then." I went, "I'll see you in February." And then when he came in February, I was like, life comes at you fast. I was like, we're in a bit of a mess here. I was like, and we need a hand. For me, as much as like I adore Warnock, I just think it was one last dance for a reason. And with we've got new everything. We've got new owners. Hopefully, a revamp of the stadium. We've got just a new buzz about the place. So, do you ruin someone's legacy possibly of, you don't know how he's going to do next season, because we don't even know where we're going to be next season. But if we stay up, I just think he needs to retire on a high, and keeping a team that you love up, if he can, would just be the icing on the cake, really.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, you've been outvoted, Tom. That's democracy, baby. Last question. It's about from Folding Stuff. He says, given that most of these players were bought in by Leigh Bromby, is he getting a fair hearing as head of football, or are fans right to want him out just because he gave Schofield a chance? And then follow that with Fotheringham. We've not really heard much about Bromby, have we, Tom? I assume, well, you don't know this, but I assume if the deal goes through with Kevin Nagel, I assume he'll want to bring in his own men. So, I think that might be the last of Bromby. I don't know. I think the Bromby stuff's quiet because we're winning games, to be honest, as well. So,
distraction.
Yeah. I think he was. Yeah, we've talked about it before on the pod, Tom, haven't we? But I think maybe some of that criticism towards Bromby might have been misplaced, and I think we've talked about it a lot, but we saw before the new ownership that Dave wasn't putting a lot of money in because he wanted to sell, which is fair enough. So that means couldn't really work with. You can't really get the best players, and particularly when you're near the bottom of the table. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he's getting a fair hearing or not?
I pretty much just was going to say exactly what you said, Brady. I mean, they got point finger at someone, and that's who it was. I mean, some of the signings have been pretty bad, I'd say, this year. But then looking at the way we're playing at the moment, was it more down to the management? I mean, I think I said it. I wanted Schofield to succeed. I think we said it at the start of the year, but what we needed was some experience, and we've had two options this season to do that, and we decided not to do it. And then finally we went for it, and look how it's working out. We potentially might save a season. So, and I mean, that is Bromby's side of the football club, innit? Deciding who's in charge and etc. having an input with Dean. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Georgia, what about yourself? What do you make of all the kind of Leigh Bromby chat?
Got to be careful what I say. For me, Huddersfield Town isn't what it was 5 years ago. The morale is completely different. I think we settle. I don't think there's any ambition really until Warnock's come in. Especially after Carlos left, there was just from the get-go there was just no ambition to do well, and that's not down to Danny Schofield, because Danny Schofield loved the club. Mark didn't rate Mark at all, to be honest. Just on another day. Done. I never want to hear the words "on another day" again. Just because I just think he just had an excuse for everything, and the club at the minute just seems to come out with excuses for everything that was going wrong. There was just no accountability. It was hostile. It was toxic, and I do think Bromby may play a part in that. Now Hoyle obviously really kindly, left all the debt and said, right, that's fine. And like I said, I think it's a bit of a cover up at the minute because we are doing well. That Bromby isn't held accountable for some of the stuff that's gone wrong. I think Dean's had most of it, which is why, I think the sale has gone through quite quickly compared to what it had been. At the minute, there's no interest to buy Huddersfield. We're not succeeding. We're fighting relegation. We had millions of debt. We weren't bringing in good managers. We were settling for whatever. When Mark was here, there was no ambition to stay up. There was no fight. And I was going to football. I came home, I was so upset. I thought, I've wasted this money. There's other people that are struggling to make ends meet, but they want to please their kids, so they're taking them to football. For what? There was no end product. And Leigh Bromby needs to take accountability for some of it. Not all of it. I don't believe he's responsible for all of it. But bringing Mark in, what was that? That was horrendous. It was a horrendous decision from the get-go. Danny, it was too much too soon. I think if he'd have come in maybe in a bit of a different way, and maybe just stayed as an assistant head coach, but giving him the full responsibility for a first time was stupid from the get-go. Absolutely stupid. He's not had much experience, and I think he got really shafted, to be honest. And obviously he's trying to do his best at Doncaster now, but the only thing that I can really praise Bromby and being part of the decision in was bringing Warnock in and a few good players. But how much can that kind of save you back? And I just think there's a lot of people that need to take accountability for the way the club has ended up this season. And I think some people have, but some are yet to be held for.
Yeah, good point. Really good point. I suppose we'll see what happens with the new ownership. But Bromby has been very quiet. And obviously Dave Baldwin's there as well now. So be interesting. We'll move on. It's time for You're the Boss. So Georgia, I think we asked you last time we were on, but I asked this to all guests, so I'll do a bit of a recap. But if you were in the dugout on Saturday and you were Huddersfield Town manager, Warnock said, Georgia, I need you to lead the team. What's your managerial outfit? What are you going to wear?
My managerial, oh God. You should have seen me on Saturday. I felt like I was the manager. I had my hands in my pockets. I had little cargos on. So probably wear my cargos. That was really northern, that cargos. I'd have my cargos on. I'd have like a little shirt with like a jumper. And just some nice trainers for when hopefully I'm celebrating. But yeah, I think that'd be my fit.
That's very, very stylish. I like it. I think that's one of the best ones we've had so far. So yeah, very, very smart. Very modern manager as well. Like it.
Can't be wearing trackies. I don't like it when they wear like the full kit. It stresses me out because you just look like one of the background, like the backroom stuff. Like, please look a bit different. Like, I like how Michael Carrick dresses. I thought he looked very smart the weekend. I liked it.
Fair. Cool. So we know what you're wearing if you are the boss, but Yeah, the lineup for the last game. So against Middlesbrough, we were 4-2-3-1. Maybe Stephen Chicken thinks it's 4-3-3. Probably was. But yeah, we had Vaclík in there, a back four of Pearson, Lees, Hellick, Ruffles. The midfield two was Hogg and Edmonds-Green. And then we had Dwayne Holmes, Rodoni, and Koroma behind Danny Ward. Tom, would you make any changes? Obviously, from the sounds of it, Holmes probably isn't going to.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a shame, really, wasn't it? Because he's been away for ages. But yeah, doesn't look like Holmes is going to make it. So
Holmes is out in it. So I mean, it's probably going to be Ben Jackson coming in. Hungbo won't be available.
Yeah, because he's a parent club.
So then you're going to have someone else on the bench as well. So I mean, who would you? Kamara maybe. Kamara pops up probably. I think he'll play a similar team because although it is a wilder team. I mean, it sounded like they played 5 at the back against against Luton last week. So it sounds like he's trying to implement the wilder tactics already, and it's almost a bit reminiscent of when he came into Borough. I feel like he comes into a team when it's near the end of the season and he's almost thinking for next season. Bit of damage limitation almost this year. Don't want to. I felt like when he was at Borough, it was like he didn't really want to get playoffs. Do you know what I mean? That half of the season, and he wanted to have a full season at it, and that actually didn't work in his favour in the end. So I think we'll see a similar team, although Brady. Warnock will be up for it as well, won't he? Because of almost Wilder taking his job at Borough as well. So it'd be a feisty one. But yeah, I don't think he would risk putting, like we said, Kamara in there to start with. I think he'd rather go a bit more defensive and have Jackson probably where Holmes would be.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I think I'd probably, I think you don't really change a winning team, so just Jackson for Holmes for me, and then you probably swap him over because he has played Koroma on the right. Although Koroma was excellent on Saturday, I thought, and deserved his goal. So yeah, don't beat a winning team. Georgia, would you make many changes, or are you kind of agreeing with us and not tweaking too much?
To be fair, like you said, I'm really gutted about Dwayne Holmes. I think he brought quite but more of an impact than what I thought he was gonna to the team. He made it more attacking, I think. And this seems like less afraid because he's small but he's quick. And I tell you what, since Romani Edmonds-Green's come in, I feel so confident watching him. And if the ball's obviously if we're quite defensive, I'm always thinking Romani's going to get to that. And I think obviously his loan experiences have helped, but I'm really enjoying watching him. I think he's blossoming around Pearson and Lees and Hellick, older role models. Josh Ruffles I thought was brilliant. I would be so surprised if he doesn't start. I think he's dead underrated, Josh Ruffles. I really like him. But maybe that's just me. But I do really like him. But like you say, hopefully Rodoni gets his goal as well, because that's coming at some point. Don't know when, but he does deserve a goal now. But yeah, probably just bringing Ben Jackson in just to keep it safe. Like you said, Wilder, it's quite unpredictable. Wilder sometimes you don't know how he's going to be on the day, so I feel a bit nervous actually. I haven't felt right nervous thinking about it, but no, and Chris Wilder's a very particular manager and one that I'm hoping that Neil Warnock's really going to want to hammer home that you don't take my job and you certainly don't take the 3 points.
Here's open. So with that in mind, then what's our score prediction for this one?
I don't even want to do it. Oh.
Well, should we come back to you, Georgia? I'll let Tom go first.
Yeah, come back to me because I don't want to jinx it all.
The thing that I don't like is that from their fans that I know, and then what I've listened to a bit of their post-match for Luton, is they're all on a proper downer. And in a way, I don't like that because it feels like they're on too much of a given up that they're probably due something. But I think because of the high that we're on, and if Romani can, I'm guessing what they'll do, Brady, what Reg seems to have been doing, they'll probably put Reg on Pedro, won't they, for the game? If he can keep him quiet, then I think we can maybe be looking at a Town 1-0.
Well, and who's getting that goal if your Reg is keeping him quiet?
Do you know what? Imagine that. The performance of any player in the Championship keeps Pedro quiet and gets the winner. Reg 1-0.
Oh, love it. Yeah, I know I always predict draws, but we've got the Blackburn game on Monday as well, and that's at home. And I'm weirdly, even though Blackburn are in, a better form, I feel like Warnock may look to that. But yeah, I don't know. I do think 1-1. I think with you, Tom, really depends, because like you said, they're on a downer. If you can have it 0-0 at half time, I think that really plays into Town's hands.
Yeah.
So,
we can get them, the fans, basically either on their back or basically saying, I can't be arsed with this. Keep them quiet. Yeah, definitely, Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love it if Warnock does exactly what we did at Millwall.
Yeah,
just be solid and sneak a 1-0. But yeah, I will go 1-1, and I think Pearson's on a bit of a tear, but I think one of the other centre backs is going to score, so I'm going to go Hellig, because he's got a few from set pieces this season. Go on then, Georgia. I've given you plenty of time. You do have to come up with a prediction.
See, I'm just really superstitious. I think, at the weekend, I had my coat on for all the goals, and as soon as I took it off, they scored. And I was like, it's back on. And I even though I was boiling, I'm going bright red, I had to keep it on till full time because I was just so paranoid. Maybe that's just really bad paranoia, I don't know. But I think it's gonna be a 1-1 draw. I think obviously Watford are a very attacking side, and they seem quite. Whenever we play them, we just look like we never get the ball. And I think they make us look worse than what we are. But that was earlier in the season, and we've had what seems to be a touch wood turnaround. So goal scorer could be anyone really. No, I didn't even expect Matty Pearson to get a brace at the weekend, but I'd love Radoni to get one. I know he hasn't got it yet, but it would be a Radoni game to score in. Very unpredictable. So we'll go with. Can't believe I'm saying that. We'll go with Radoni.
Nice. Well, if you do listen to this podcast, Georgia, you'd know that me and Tom always think it's going to be a Radoni game to score in. So,
Brady, I'm gonna throw a really weird stat in here now as well, because I just thought I'd have a quick look at historically, the games against Watford, and in the last 15 meetings, by the looks of it, this is very quick maths I'm doing, so I might not be adding this up very well. Every 5 games, there's been one team that has. So the last 5 games, Watford have won the most. Then the 5 before, we've won the most. And then the 5 before that, they've won the most. So if we're working in cycles, we're going into a new set of 5 games, and Town should win more of these games. Don't know if that gives anyone a bit more positivity going into it as well.
I feel stressed knowing that. I feel more stressed.
That's a really weird, actually.
That is weird. That's probably one of the weirdest statistics I think I've heard.
Yeah.
There you go, Tom. More of that, please. More of the strange stats. I like it. Yeah. But yeah, before we finish, we need to go and hear from Colin Quaner, because it's time for Quaner's question.
A few things change, but also a lot of things are still the same.
Okay, so Quaner's question is here. Interested to get everyone's take on this. I'll come to you too as well to get your thoughts on this. After recent results, we're all, let's be fair to say, we're all a little bit more positive, particularly, and this is great for someone who does a podcast, that we got the news that Reading had been deducted 6 points before we recorded, so we had time to include it in. So, so with that all in mind, we asked the listeners, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hopeful are you of Town avoiding relegation now? So 1 is no chance, 10 is definitely staying up. So I'm going to read some of the listeners' responses, and then I'm going to ask you to your thoughts. So Guy Bradley says 4 because it's the hope that kills you. Fair enough. Martin Senior, however, says 10 plus. So that's a very confident man. Jay Bentley says, after Hull, it was a 3, after Blackpool a 2, and after Coventry a 1. Now I think a 9. It's well within our grasp, and we've been playing some decent stuff. And we've got Emily Terrier with a 4, James Jessup with a 6. I'm going to go for a 6. I think we've got the best chance we've had in a long time. And, you look at Rotherham, you look at QPR, you look at Reading now as well. It's all within reach. Got to play Cardiff as well. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's the hope that kills you. But yeah, I think we've probably got the best chance we've had in a while. Georgia, what about yourself on the scale of 1 to 10? How are you feeling?
It's the hope that kills you, and it really is. I'm gonna have to go for 4. I just think if you go into every game expecting the least, which sounds awful, I genuinely thought we were going to get something from Norwich. Something more from Norwich. And I just thought, especially in the second half, I was like, no, we've got this. And then it was kind of, and Coventry as well. Did not expect 4-0 at home. Like, that was ridiculous. I stayed till we didn't even play like half decent. That was horrendous. So it definitely taught me after the Coventry game. No, we're not going to get our hopes up for the rest of the season. So I think it's just taking every game. So we're going to go 4.
4, fair. I think that's the smart approach. Tom, what about you? Are you letting the hope? Are you going for a 10, or are you going to go for a conservative number?
I mean, when you look from 18 down, right, they're probably the teams in it, and you look at the form, there's only really us and Wigan you'd potentially say, they might keep going on a bit of a run. Touchwood, yeah. But honestly, I've never been more confident, Brady.
Oh, Tom.
Oh, why have you said that? No, why have you said that?
I look at QPR, I can't see them really winning another game. I look at Reading, they're in free form. I've got a Reading fan mate. He just thinks that this 6 points is going to kill him. I think Cardiff's potential, they're not going to do too great. I think they'll do all right. So I think there's 2 teams that Town can catch. So I'd say a 7.
Wow. We'll see, won't we? But yeah, no, it's what a difference a couple of wins makes, eh? But we've done and dusted. We will see. We will see at the end of the season if it's a 1 or if it's a 10. But yeah, I think that'll do us for this episode. So yeah, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Magic Rock, who sponsor as always. Don't forget about that code we told you about earlier, AHTTC10. Tom and I will be back to preview a game. We're working out what to do about Blackburn. Might do a Twitter poll. We'll see. But yeah, thanks to Georgia and Tom for coming on. Georgia, do you want to say anything to the Town fans before we get off?
Just, especially on Monday, just get the atmosphere going, because there's just nothing better. And obviously, we saw we being at Blackburn and having to sit and watch. Let's make him realise that we can fight and we deserve to be in the Championship, because we do. And that he should come back and help us try and get automatics or playoffs next season if we stay up.
There we go. Tom, anything you want to say, Mr. 7 out of 10?
No, just enjoy your Easter weekend, and let's hope after this short space of 2 games, we are absolutely buzzing by next Tuesday.
Well, there you go. I like it. And as Tom mentions, it's Easter. So if you are celebrating, have an excellent time. And we will leave before I crack up any more puns. We'll end it there. There we go. Take care, everyone. To top and out and up the Town.
So Town, play up and bring the car back to Huddersfield.